Can you love more than one person deeply? Deeply is underlined, underlined deeply at the same time. Can you love more than one person deeply at the same time is what we are asking you today. Engage with us. As per usual, we're live, so that means you can call in anytime, even if you want to call now. The lines are officially open, all right? Or also use our WhatsApp number 0112-500-400, or better yet, use our social media handles, and that is at NTV Kenya across, all the social media platforms, and tag me as well at Lubembe_Winnie. We're looking at matters of the heart, and it's all about the truth about loving more than one person. So before I introduce our guest, I came across this video this morning, and these people are talking about how, yes, they can love more than one person, and again, question of the day. What you're having on the screen, and that is, can you love more than one person deeply at the same time? But this person was saying, if you can have multiple friends, why can't you have multiple partners? And I just want to pose that question to our panelists. The gang is here. Again, from my immediate left is Miriam Wange, who is a relationship coach. At this point, since that way, how are you doing? You look really nice. Like, the colors really complement your skin and the hair and the glasses. You look fantastic. Thank you so much for making the time, Miriam. We have Moffat Kago, who's a psychologist and family, as well as family and marriage therapist. Good to see you, Moffat. How are you doing?
I'm very well.
You look amazing, like warm colors.
Thank you.
You look
so
very
much.
nice. You look very, very nice.
It's because we are talking about matters of heart.
Yeah. It's like, you need to look at the past.
Absolutely.
And we also have Grace Mudodi Dalizo, who is a marriage counselor. Bishop.
Yes.
Bishop. Hi.
Nico Salama.
Bishop? You look amazing as always.
Thank you. You too.
Oh, thank you.
Today you have bold colors.
Well, let me tell you, nilisema mimi matters of the heart. Watch out to show up, mimi na Moffat.
Yes,
I'm just going to ask you guys the same question that we're asking the audience, and that is, can you love more than one person deeply at the same time? Who wants to go first? Is it, can you?
Thank you so much, Winnie, and a very good morning to our viewers and listeners wherever they are. Now, allow me to say this, and as I was thinking about this conversation, I am one person who likes integrating our spirituality and our and psychological concepts.
Okay.
And there's something that came to my mind in the scripture, 1 Corinthians 4:6-12. I have the right to do anything, you say, but not everything is beneficial.
Wow.
Ooh.
I have the right to do anything, but I will not be mastered by anything. Then the same 1 Corinthians 10:23 says, everything is permissible, but not everything is beneficial. Now, and this is very interesting because sometimes we think that we have the freedom to do everything that we want, but we are saying that everything can be permissible, but not everything is beneficial. Everything is permissible, but not everything is constructive.
Okay.
And therefore, my question would be, whatever that we think, when we talk about love, we can only talk about, let me say this, it is possible if it is platonic love, that which we call platonic, or if it is what we call agape love, it is possible for us to love others deeply, but when it comes to erotic love, then somebody must ask themselves this question, is it beneficial? In as much as it can be permissible, is it beneficial? Is it edifying another person? Because, and many times, in as much as I know, because I'm in this field of counseling, I have encountered even women who get themselves caught up. Just before we came in, I was telling them how I was, talking about, somebody who found herself in that situation. And sometimes you realize there are reasons, there are some weird reasons as to why people might find themselves caught up in that which they say is their love for these two or three people.
Entanglement.
Number one, when they think that age is catching up with them, and they begin to behave like a story we used to read many years ago when I was in primary school, about this animal that found itself in a junction, in a T, is it a Y junction?
Yeah.
And it is smelling some very nice sweet smell of meat, but doesn't know which direction to go.
Yeah.
And it wants to go to both. Yeah. Sometimes we find ourselves in that situation because of some other underlying factors that are pushing us, and they push us to the edge, to the point of making decisions that are not beneficial, in as much as it can be permissible, not beneficial to us, not beneficial to others.
The other person.
Wow.
Okay, beneficial, permissible, constructive.
That is lovely.
Hey, just a bishop. You know, even in the Bible, oh, man, Solomon had how many wives and how many concubines. Who was this other person who had multiple wives as well? And so people use that and said, Iko kwa Bible, kwa hivyo it is right.
Yeah. What do I have to say about that?
Yes.
Yeah, people point to that polygamy kind of setup in the Bible. But we look at it as something that is now being described.
Okay.
What was happening then, but is not a prescription for today.
What should happen
Because
today?
with the coming of Christ, a lot of things changed.
Yes.
And I love the way Moffat today has become the bishop.
Let me
But
tell you.
he has also taught me something, that some things are permitted, but they are not beneficial. I do not look at it that way.
Yeah.
But I want to say right here, you are able to love, you can love more than one person, but not in this sense of being in a romantic relationship.
Okay.
Because the Bible says that in Genesis 2:24, because Moffat has started us off on the biblical standpoint, says, a man shall leave the father and the mother and be connected to the wife.
Okay.
It doesn't say you'll be connected to your wives. It's just your wife.
Okay.
And then when we go to Hebrew 13 and verse 4, it talks about the marriage bed should be undefiled.
Okay.
Meaning it's for man and woman. So as much as we think about Solomon and David, and I think in that setup it worked, that one can only be described to tell us other tales about the Bible, to strengthen our faith and to tell us what happened then. But right now we go by the prescription of Christ, that only one man to one woman. And the story is told that Christ is the husband to the church. And therefore we are told out of that, that a man should love his wife the same way Christ loved the church.
Okay.
So I want to say, yes, you can love more than one, but the love of Christ is there, which he has said very well. We have also love for family. Like now, I love my husband so much, which is a romantic setup. But I also love my children so much.
Yeah. And
so I'm able to love those two people, but in a very deep way. Without feeling like I'm cheating on any. Yeah. Thank you.
Hey, Bishop. Okay. Okay, Miriam. So again, I was listening to this video, and someone actually said that, as human beings, we are polyamorous in nature. And that is why we are able to, like Bishop says, love your spouse, but also love your children, but also love your best friend and love your family. Like, we're full of love, but we're also polyamorous in nature. I don't know what's what you have to say to that.
Let me start off where these guys have the same trajectory they've taken.
All right.
You've talked about Solomon having all those many wives. But Solomon had many problems as the many wives.
Okay.
Let's just put it that way.
All right.
The only reason he had those many wives is because at that period, it was conquests.
Okay.
The more he linked up with those people, the more he had allies, the more he didn't have people who could fight him. Because the minute you marry from a particular country, then you're joined, and therefore they can't fight you because their daughter is in your kingdom.
Okay.
For him, it was more of a business arrangement. David also had as many problems as his wife. Look at how his own son tried to kill him later on. So anyway, what I'm trying to say is that, like Moffat has said, it's a choice you have to make, but not everything is beneficial.
All right.
And I want to differentiate between the loves. Yes, it's true. We do love, and you can love your family members, you can love your friends, and you can love your partner.
Okay.
But those are three different loves.
Okay.
He's talked about agape love, brotherly love. That's actually one of the deepest loves, and that's what mostly we usually have for family members. You find that you can easily sacrifice for your family members, sometimes even more than you can sacrifice for your spouse. Some of the things that you end up doing for your parents or you end up doing for your siblings, you'll find someone disgruntled to do it for their partner. That's usually agape love. Agape love is very sacrificial, very giving. Then there's phileo.
Okay.
Phileo is like.
Oh, okay. Okay. It's like a like.
Actually, that's one that's brotherly love. The agape love is sacrificial love.
Okay.
Phileo is brotherly love.
All right.
That's like. And that's what we usually have with our friends, brotherly love, where like we just have this kind of camaraderie going on. We can coexist, we can have laughs, we can have, you know. And then there is now the erotic love. Now, when it comes to spousal love, all those loves are brought in together for this one person. At least that's the ideal.
Right.
We're supposed to have agape love for our partners. We're supposed to have phileo, and we're also supposed to have erotic love.
Right.
But you find there are people who will have erotic love and a bit of agape, but they don't have phileo. Have you ever seen partners who are saying, I love my spouse, but I don't like them?
Yes.
There's a
very big
possibility
difference, right?
to love your spouse and not like them.
Not like them.
Like you don't like spending time with them, but you will do things for them. Let me say this, as I keep saying, and I've said here so many times, love is not a feeling, it's a doing, it's a verb.
Yeah.
It's an action.
Yeah.
So let's not get it wrong. You can actually love someone
without liking
them. And love is, the word of God says in 1 Corinthians, I think chapter 13, love is patient, love is kind, love is forgiving, love keeps no record of wrong, and it's not envious. Like those are things it's telling you to do. So you're practicing love. Love is hard work. I don't see how you can love two people deeply. That's hard work.
It's exhausting.
It's exhausting, and you find, that's why you find in polygamous families, there's such fights because you're going to be partial to one person more than you are to another. As much as you think you're treating them equally, yes, you will buy them stuff, you will buy them houses equally, but there is one who will feel left out because they're not getting as much attention as the other one, because probably you phileo one more than the other.
Okay. Interesting.
Agape exists.
Yeah.
You're sacrificing for them.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But you phileo one more than the other.
Okay, let me take. Yay! Okay, we have a view to go on a break. Who here has ever been in love, loved more than one person at the same time? Anybody? Why? What happened? Have you ever been to that where it's something but loved more than one person at the same time? Have you?
Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
My name is Steve Mugo. I think now, looking at her perspective, I would say I would go with the phileo, not based on the erotic, because I feel like, as she has said, like loving is a hard task, So there's no way you'll try to avail yourself to two people romantically, but if it's like showing up for your friends, loving your friends, but there's also a thin line in between. But I can say I've been there, but now based on her explanation and now my understanding, I feel like
you phileoed one and then you agaped the other.
It was valid. It was valid.
Okay, all right. Let's go on a break, and then when we come back, we'll start with. I don't. Now show him Kono. You want to say something? Maybe you're in the same situation. Okay, but let's take a break, and then when we come back, we'll pick up from there. Okay, phileo, agape, and said it was valid. I did both of them. Okay, but also remember the question that we're asking you today, and that is: can you love more than one person deeply at the same time? Can you love more than one person deeply at the same time? Is what we want to find out from you this morning, right here on Your World. So you know the drill. Our lines are officially open, so give us a call or use our WhatsApp number 0112 500 400, or better yet, use our social media platform. So that is at MTV Kenya across all board, and as well as Lubembe_Winnie on X. We'll be right back with more right here on Your World. Do stay with us. All right, welcome back to the show. The show is Your World, and today we're looking at matters of the heart. Mapenzi, mambo ya roho, okay? And we're looking at double hearts, and is it possible to love more than one person at the same time? Now, when we're talking about love, Bishop, we need to be specific. Is it romantic or not? Romantic, okay? Can you be in a romantic relationship and love this person deeply, and not this person, but more than one person at the same time? That is what we're looking at today. And the question that we're asking you is very simple. Can you love more than one person deeply at the same time? Let me tell you, Facebook is on fire, okay? Allow me to go through one or two before we continue with the conversation. So someone here says, Emmanuel Otieno says, the heart has 4 ventricles, so it can. I can have 4 at this point, okay? And then another one says, this is Kimani Bernard Banitos, who says, never, either one or no one, okay? And then another one say, Nyakio Muthi, who says, you can love as many as you want, but you can only be in love with one. And this is where I wanted us to start. Love and being in love. Is there a difference between the two? And then we've looked at the different types of love as well. And then another person says, John Trakes on Facebook again says, it happens. You both team to score. Not too sure what you meant, but it's okay. Another person says, Minister Lizzie, new song says, no man can serve 2 masters. And then another one says, Caroline Sheena, who says, for man yes, for woman no. Man yes, a woman no. But why? Moffat is like, yeah. Why? See, we all have the same heart with 4 ventricles, like someone said.
Yes, I was actually coming to that.
Okay.
Did he or she say for money?
No.
What
They
did
just said
say?
for a man, yes.
For
a
woman.
woman,
sorry.
but a woman, no.
Then
Oh, you thought money?
I thought
no,
money.
not
There's
money.
something I'm going to
You
say.
want to
There's
talk
something
about
I want
money?
to say.
Okay.
Women are in their love, let's say, as compared to men, because even in the Bible, we have not heard of any woman that had 2 husbands.
Okay.
But when it comes to men, the way I have observed them, not measured,
Okay.
but observed, a man can have so many relationships. And many times, especially if they are not married, they say they are looking for the best one among them who will become a better half.
Okay.
So they use that excuse to ensure that they have Jane, they have Mary, they have Grace, they have Miriam, they have so and so. And when you ask them, because I'm coming from a background where I have brothers, they will say, I'm trying to see out of them who can have at least 3 of the things that I'm looking for out of 5.
Okay.
And therefore, they use that as an excuse. But what I see in men, they are polygamous in nature. They will see you, they will love your legs. They will see the other one, they will love the way they look.
Yeah.
The other one, the way they are configured.
Yeah.
So they have a reason for everyone. And when they end up now getting married, they say, you know, I decided for a wife, I need a person that is very kind, very responsible, that can take care of my family. But there's something I want to say in addition to that.
Okay.
I had a friend that was in love with 3 men.
Whew. Okay.
And that was back then. She's now married to 1 man.
Okay.
And I got very curious and I asked her, why do you have these 3 men? And she said, you know, now it comes to what Miriam said. There is agape love.
Okay.
There is filial love, which for me, I look at filial love as conditional love. But the agape one is unconditional.
Yeah.
And that's why when Jesus came and met Peter, after a while, he asked him, do you love me? But the kind of love he was asking for, do you agape me?
Okay.
But Peter said, I feel you. And Jesus said, no. You need to agape me so that you take care of the flocks.
Yeah.
You take care of the sheep. So when I look at filial, I look at filial as conditional love.
Yeah.
And this is what I saw in my friend. She had conditional love in this sense. She needed a man to pay her rent.
Okay.
And they were in love, because the way I saw that time, love is love.
Yeah.
She was in love. She could miss this man so much.
Yeah.
But she used to tell me, you know, this man pays my rent.
Okay.
Then she had one who would take care of the grooming, dressing, because the man liked a very smart lady. And she was totally in love with him. And that man would take care of that.
Okay.
And then there was the third one who took care of food and other utilities in the house.
Yeah.
And according to me now, that is what is happening right now.
It is,
with
yes,
young men
yes.
and also with women.
Yes.
They fall in love, but it's not love, agape love.
Yeah.
It is filial, but it ends up to be erotic. Because most of them do not end up with a platonic relationship, whereby you are very close, but you don't do anything.
Okay.
So for you to be paid for all these things, you are in love and the love grows more because this person makes sure you have shelter. Those are basic needs. And I have the other one, food. And the other one, I have clothing. So these three are taking care of your basic needs. And therefore, they become a very essential part of your life. So I describe that not as the agape love. It's still love, but it is not filial love.
It's conditional.
Very conditional.
Transactional at this point.
Very
transactional. Giving you something and then
very
you're giving something in return.
I also wanted to add to what Bishop has said, Winnie. And I actually want to bring a different aspect of the exact thing she's talking about. Winnie, it is not possible to live with more than one person in that deep erotic love, but it is possible to live with multiple people when you are deep in lust.
Oh, yeah, because I was waiting for that. I'm like, hey?
No, you have to tell us how you measure lust.
When you are so deep in lust, it is possible to live with more than one woman and more than one man.
Okay.
Because, you know, when we talk about love, as she put it, it is hard work. But then you realize that there are some people who come together even in a marriage, and what drove them into that union was not actually the love that we are talking about. It is actually something, what you've called transactional, like what she has described. And therefore, women are beautiful. And each one of us, any normal, ordinary man, will see, will look at a woman. And even the Bible talks of looking at a woman lustfully. So looking is not bad. But when the lust comes in and it takes over, and you get carried away, you know, there are some people who are so much in lust. Let me substantiate this.
Okay.
People who are so much in lust to the point that now leave alone a woman. They can actually look at a skirt hanging on a clothesline and they begin to lose themselves. They begin to digest, begin to process, they begin to...
That is so cruel.
That is what we're talking about.
Wow.
It is possible. You know, I'm saying this. I am saying this because I am in this field. I'm in this profession. I sit down with the families.
But isn't
and the
that
couples.
a condition though? Like that's sickness, no?
You see, now let me give you an example.
My God, today. Am I allowed to roll down on them?
Let me give you an example.
Take us easy. Take us easy.
Before I got married, there's this girl that I loved, and she was nice, she was beautiful.
Oh my God.
But then I realized that there's something I'm lacking. There's some chemistry I don't have, and I asked myself this question: do I love this girl? Or do I have sympathy towards her? Because there are also some people who are sympathetic towards others, and you get married to them, or you begin to date because you have some sympathy, maybe because of what he or she is going through. And there are some people who find themselves in sexual relationship, not because they loved someone, but they got carried away by these feelings and emotions and sympathy, and therefore you kissed goodbye your reasoning. So I asked myself, do I really love this girl? Or I'm just, because of some situations I knew she was going through.
Okay.
And you know, I was, you know, coming in for her and supporting her in many ways.
Yeah.
But then I realized there's some chemistry missing.
Okay.
And I remember when I went to tell her that I think I would want us to end this.
Yeah, let's just be friends. It's not you, it's me.
Yeah, and I know she was so broken, but I told her, I feel like what I'm looking for, I've not yet gotten it.
Okay.
Now, it is possible to live with multiple women and multiple men when you are living in lust. Remember we said, is it beneficial? Is it edifying?
Yeah.
Is it constructive? If you are hurting someone else because of what you are doing, then that cannot be called love. And we have got so many people, young ladies, young men, who go to the altar to be prayed for, to be joined together, and what is taking them to that altar is feelings, is lust, is emotions. And the moment, let me tell you one characteristic of lust. The moment you settle down with that girl or with that man, you begin to realize that you are suffering a sense of insufficiency. Okay? You are not contented. You begin to look outside and you begin to wonder, did I make a mistake?
The right choice or a mistake?
Because you are waking up with the same man, with the same woman every morning, and you know the way human beings are wired, human beings are not able to really to be in a monotonous kind of a situation or a life.
We want
and therefore this monotony, if there was love, monotony gets arrested.
Okay.
It is suppressed, it is overcome by love. But if it was emotions, if it was feelings, if it was lust, you begin to suffer monotony with this particular woman, with this particular man, and you begin to look at another person who would definitely look better and more beautiful than your wife. Truth be told.
So I mean, like he said, there's a very thin line. Can we then understand the whole love thing and the in-love thing? Because most people think they love with this person. That's where you find someone says, I really love my wife, or I really love my husband, but I also love this other person, you know? So it's like there's a very thin line that sometimes we think we are in love, but we're in lust, and we don't know.
Exactly.
I
think, for me, what in love is, okay, it's the initial attraction, the initial feelings that lead you into the relationship.
Okay.
There's always that.
Absolutely.
The attraction, you know, the different levels of attraction that are to reel you in. And I always say, feeling in love, that's a bunch of chemicals. It's a bunch of chemicals. Serotonin, dopamine, oxytocin.
Okay.
You're releasing those chemicals and the other person is also releasing those chemicals. They are bonding chemicals and feel-good chemicals.
And that's how you feel the matundu.
That's how you feel. That's how you feel the butterflies and everything, right? The oxytocin is the bonding one. So you'll find yourself wanting to bond with this person and everything. What usually happens, that's the infatuation phase. That's what falling in love is. The infatuation phase. And infatuation is a mixture of attraction, lust, and all those feel-good chemicals. Then what happens is what Moffat is saying. Later on, after the initial phase of attraction, maybe even give it 6 months at most, it wears down. And then now, there's the logical aspect of love, whereby you have to make a logical decision to be with this person, like he did. He looked at this girl and he's like, am I really
in love with this
Is
person?
she the one? Or am I just keeping her because I feel sorry for her? That's when you start making the logical whatever. There are people who will stay in that phase for a long time, so you won't even see the red flags. And that's how you end up getting married, and later on you get the boredom that he's talking about. You're wondering, what am I doing?
Out there?
Because to build genuine love takes you building intimacy. And by intimacy, when people talk about intimacy, they think sexual intimacy.
No.
There are different levels of intimacy. There's sexual intimacy, emotional intimacy, spiritual intimacy, and even physical intimacy. Now, sexual intimacy is the level where people stay. That is the lowest level of intimacy. Because you can have sexual intimacy with anyone. But do you know how difficult it is to have emotional intimacy with anyone? Whereby you can sit and you have the same emotional intelligence, you have the same level of intelligence. Sapiosexuals, you can talk about intelligent things together, deep issues together. You never run out of conversation. And even when you run out of conversation, you can stay in the highest level of intimacy, which is silence.
Yes.
In a
Without
comfortable
feeling
way.
the need to.
Without feeling the need to fill in the gaps. How many people are in relationship can actually sit in silence together and they are okay?
Yeah, very big.
Right? Even in marriage, right?
Yeah.
You find it's an awkward kind of silence because you have not built that much connection. You stayed in the superficial level of love for long. And people are getting married with superficial level of love. Let me go back to the aspect of the Bible because they have brought it up. The word of God says, I will make for him a suitable helper. A suitable helper.
Okay.
There will be others, but there's only one suitable helper. Just yesterday I saw someone asking for help on Facebook.
Right.
I don't know their name, he's anonymous. But he said, I thought my wife was ABCD, boring, blah, blah, blah. I even used to badmouth her to my girlfriend at a particular time, saying how she's like this, how she's like this, how she's like this. And eventually, he kicked her out and married this girl that he used to badmouth his wife with.
Okay.
Only for him to realize she was never his suitable helper. She was his suitable taker. She came, took, destroyed, devoured. You know those cankerworms and locusts that the Bible talks about? She came and devoured everything. She had no sympathy for him. She could not organize things for him. And he actually realized he's become so scattered. He thought maybe it's her. Went for somebody else. After that, a third person realized even this one. So now on Facebook, he was saying, can you guys give me guidelines on how I can get back my wife? I'm really embarrassed, but I do now know she was my suitable helper.
Oh my days. And that's the thing, we don't like slow. We want fireworks, butterflies, all the beautiful things that we feel. Nani akola swali, we have like literally 3 minutes to go on a break. Anybody with a question as we digest all those things? Okay, go.
I'm Peter from Machakos County. I have a concern.
All right. Hey, concern. Others is what concern. Go.
For the sake of my generation. And I can see today we have bishops who are in front of us. And they are trying to tell us different things between love and lust.
Yeah.
In our generation, we have witnessed and we have seen divorce is in a very high rate. Even to those in church and to those outside the church. And you'll hear someone saying, I was married and God spoke to me that you're not the right person. How correct and how true is that information?
Okay, the God.
We have gone to several seminars about love, about friendship, about courtship. And every time a preacher rises, will come with a different revelation.
Okay.
Others will say, God spoke to me in a dream. Others will say, I read. So there's a lot of confusion in our generation. Even understanding and believing them is also becoming a task. Because there's a scripture in the book of Corinthians. I think it's one of the letters Paul was writing. And then he was saying that the elders will show the younger ones the directions to go. But now in our generation, the elders, they are more worse than us. You get it? The elders, the bishops in the church. You get it?
Hey, okay.
Right now we have TikTok, we have Facebook. And we can get all over what's happening across the world.
Okay.
You'll find that a bishop in a church is dating the girls in the praise and worship team. And on Sunday, he will come with the wife in the front of the church and they say, huyu ndiye Mungu alinipea yeye. But now sisi tunajua ukweli yenye iko pale kwa TV. Huyu jamaa akona au ako hapo ndani. Hii ni love, hii ni lust. What's all about this?
Can I say something?
Please, yes.
Let me
say something before we go.
First of all, I want to ask for forgiveness. I want to ask for forgiveness on behalf of the clergy. Yeah, we should not be preaching water and we are taking wine.
It's true.
The second thing I want to say here, said we come up with different revelations. I want to say, first and foremost, the word of God, when we preach it as it is called logos. Logos is the word as it is. You have read, therefore now, you are not supposed to hate your neighbor. You're supposed to love this. We call it logos. But every preacher, because I believe preachers are called, is a calling. When they go into their closet and they have that same scripture, the same scripture, the revelation I will come out with, what Moffat will come out with, or Miriam for that matter, will be different. And that's what we call the Rhema word.
Okay.
And that's why on the same pulpit, and in different pulpits on a Sunday, the same word can be preached, but revelations are different.
Okay.
Now, when it comes to, I know Moffat will help me with that, when it comes to what preachers do, in this sense, I'm married myself, I have my husband, but I'm still dating a young man in the church. That one is what we call sin and lust.
Yeah.
Because you're already married,
Yes.
properly married, you're supposed to lead and show an example.
Yes.
But now lust has infiltrated the church because that is sin. But I also want to say to him that we are not perfect. As clergy, we are not perfect. We are human.
Yeah.
And we fall short of his glory. We fall short of his glory in one way or another. Because I'm wearing, I've been anointed by God. Let's say David was so anointed, but he still fell for that Bathsheba and also killed the husband. So we fall short of his glory. And therefore we should not be considered to be perfect. But I want to say, we try our best to go by what God has put in us. That is the Rhema word. And also the logos, which he should read for himself and interpret. Because God will still, he's not a respecter of persons, will still give him revelation. And therefore, on behalf of all of us that go wrong, because all of us go wrong, maybe we sin differently, but we are asking for forgiveness and we pray that read more of the word, read more and pray more, that God will continually give you revelation. Yes, Moffat, what do you want to add?
I know
Moffat was on fire. He wanted to say something. Let him
but
say.
I do not want to rush.
He's the bishop.
Today, we're due on a break and then we'll come back. We'll start from there and also take more of your questions. And also you
That
who's
was
watching
fire.
us this morning and you have a question as far as the conversation today. Well, leo kumewaka moto, matters of the heart. And the question that we're asking you, that is, can you love more than one person deeply? Okay, is that possible? Is it not? Keep engaging with us on our socials, and that is at NTV Kenya, both on Facebook and on X. And like we said, the lines are open. So if you go pick us and answer the questions, and even say if you are, if you love more than one person, or if you're in love or in lust with more than one person, again, feel free to engage with us. We'll be taking your calls and also go through your feedback after the break. Do stay with us. Hey, welcome back. Let me say, where leo sijui watu waliamkia wapi? Bishop, tuko sawa? Tuko sawa. Welcome back to the show. Just in case you're tuning in, we are officially the second hour of the show, and today we're dealing with matters of the heart, and we're asking, is it possible to love more than one person deeply? Wachana na hii ya juu. And we're talking about love. It's not at the, me, I love my mom, I love my dad, I love my family, I love my kids. No, not those words, Romantically. Is it possible to love more than one person deeply at the same time? Is the question that we're asking here today. Our lines are officially opened, and our WhatsApp number as well, 0112 500 400, and our social media platforms as well, and that is on Facebook and on X. Moffat, I know you have to say something, but just allow me to read a few of the comments that people are saying. So there's one who says, this is Blessed Tops, who said, yes, if it's agape love. Rose Wawira Mugende says, yes, my man and my kids, those are more. Wengi, at the same time. Ben Curtis Mutai says, no, genuine heart can't do that. And then another one says, is it Cassian Baku, who says, I have tried, it can't work. Trying to love more than one? No. Otieno Mercy says, yeah, even 5 people at the same time. Tano. Hey. Aya, Sarah M. Hodge says, it's not possible to deeply love more than one person, even those who claim to have many. Amongst all those, there is one that is loved deeply. I think what you're talking about. And says, even King Solomon said it. He had many queens, concubines, but only loved one. Loved dove, but only one. Wait, what? Even King Solomon said it. He had many queens and concubines, but only one dove. Bishop, you could have dove, but we don't do that one. Another one says, Susanna says, no, you just have one heart. Maybe you try with lungs.
You try with lungs.
Hey, try loving with your lungs. And then Edwin A. Jr. says, today's world, yes, if you don't think outside the box, you're done. And I think I told you this was such a show where this person was like, yeah, at one point in my life, I was monogamous, and then now I am polygamous. And we need to think about the fact that life is constantly evolving, and we should keep an open mind. Yeah, think about that for a sec. Moffat.
Thank you. Thank you
and
so
Bishop
much,
has a
Winnie.
question for you as well.
Yeah, I'm also coming to that. But let me build on what she has just said regarding what he has asked. And I want to say this, because he said that today there are people, those of us who are leaders and elders in church and gospel ministers, we are not setting a very good example, which is true. And I think Bishop has been able to seek an apology on their behalf. But I also want to tell my brother here that we are living at the age of information. There is nothing new under the sun.
Okay.
All these things that we are seeing today, including the last, including people who are members of the clergy, messing up with sexual issues happening, it is not new. Because we have even people like the sons of Eli in the Bible. We even have the Church of Corinth. You know, if you look at the background of that, the context of that particular letter, epistle, it is because Corinth was an economic hub.
Okay.
What do we expect in an economic hub? We expect prostitution, we expect a lot of things happening around there. And even when Apostle Paul is writing to the church at Corinth, it's because it had been planted in that particular context.
Okay.
And many people had come from that background, and they were still struggling with it, even in church. Meaning, even when he tells women to cover their heads, many people interpret that weirdly.
Yeah.
But it had everything to do with where this church was coming from.
Okay.
Now, we are in an age of information. The other day we saw the media houses being shut down, but everything was being seen. These guys were with the phones, and there is nothing that we missed.
Okay.
We were able to see a lot of things because information is moving very fast.
Very fast.
Therefore, I want to say that, number one, it's not new, and number two, there's nothing that has changed as far as the principles that God has put in place are concerned. Now, coming to what we are talking about, loving more than one people, it is not possible.
Okay.
I think that is what we have agreed.
Yeah.
But then, we have also said that there are some people who live in this kind of lust. And when we love, she talked about spiritual intimacy, intellectual intimacy, and all that. That is why we say that genuine, true love involves a lot of work.
Okay.
But then we also need to ask ourselves this question: why am I getting myself into this? And people get married because of many reasons. By the way, I also need to say there are people who will love you, quote unquote, to have you. They want to have you so that you can be their trophy wife. Okay?
Yes. Okay.
Say, for example, Winnie is known and she's being seen on the screen, and somebody can say, I want to have that girl. not because they have understood why they want them, but because they want to show the world, because maybe you will be validating their worth.
Your conquest.
That when they walk around with you, they feel good because people will be saying, oh, he's the lucky man who married so-and-so, whom we see on TV.
On TV, yeah.
Are you
And
with
it
me?
happens.
Yes.
And it happens a lot of times.
A lot of time.
And they will go out because you are educated, because you have this, you have that, and they want to have you.
Yeah.
That is reason number one.
Okay.
Reason number two, there are some people who will want to have you because they are jealous. They would not want you to be with another man
And
or with another
nobody
woman.
else can have you.
Yep.
If
Yes.
I can't have you, then nobody else can.
Yes. They are jealous. They do not want. They would feel very bad when somebody else. And that is why we have even had some threat happening in that arrangement where somebody says, if you don't marry me, I'm going to take away my life.
Yes, we've had that.
You know?
Yeah.
What do we call that? That is
Manipulation.
It is manipulation. If you don't marry me, I'm going to do this. And they do not want to see you with another man or with another woman.
Yeah.
Okay? And did you know, Winnie, there are even people who may want to keep you or to have you because they want to topple your destiny. They hate you.
Oh, Jehovah.
Yeah.
That one.
Okay? They hate
Ishindwe.
you. Yes, and they will want
so
to
bad.
have you.
Yeah.
They have seen where you are going. They have seen what you are capable of doing.
Yeah.
And they would want to bring that down.
Yeah, that happens.
And that is why I have a problem. And I usually say that any marriage that kills career is
Whoa,
is not
that
a
is
good
true.
marriage.
You know,
That
when they
is
tell
true.
us, you don't have to work, I can take care of you.
You see,
Yeah.
there is two ways of looking at it.
Yeah.
Number one, if you have agreed, even the Bible talks of agreeing.
Agreement. Yeah.
You have sat down, you have discussed because of the nature of our family and the demands that we have. What do you think? Is it me who needs to stop what I'm doing, or is it you?
Yeah.
And you agree. Somebody can say, I'll resign and take care of my family and my children. And we have seen many, many people who have been able to do that.
Yeah.
But then there are others who force others to be who they are not.
Make the sole decision.
All right?
Yeah.
And therefore, they want to push them until when they have made sure that their career has gone down, has crumbled down, everything about them, they want to be controlling them with a remote control. That is a person who, from the onset, that which he is now manifesting, it has been there all along. Every time I'm doing premarital counseling, I usually ask young people, what is your philosophy of marriage? What is your philosophy? What do you say about this union that you are getting yourself into?
Yeah.
And I need to say, marriage, and I don't know whether we talked about it I mentioned it in our previous show, that marriage is a union of two different people, imperfect people who have agreed to walk a journey of perfection, and they have refused to give up on each other.
That's true.
Okay?
That is true.
Not because you are devoid of weaknesses.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I usually say it is possible to love. Everybody has their own weaknesses.
True.
But you know, the joy of this love, marriage that is built on love, is when you learn the art of celebrating each other's differences
Differently.
and imperfections.
Hey, thanks for
Hapo
that.
ni point.
Hey, yeah, tunasema hivi. Oh, excuse me, hapo afanya hivi. Now, so Miriam, what we're seeing now is people are opening their marriages, okay? So it's like we're in an open relationship, in an open marriage. We see polyamory, we see, polygamous, we're seeing people cheating, okay? And when you ask, it's like, yeah, there's this one, but there's also this one that can give me this what Bishop was talking about, take care of this other part, and then the other person takes care of the other part. And someone asked, so if we were to allow people to allow, quote unquote, because again, we were given choice, do you think this will help curb cases of cheating and all those things? Because you're allowed to love whoever you want to love, deeply or not, you love whoever you want to love.
No, it's not going to curb.
Yeah.
It's actually going to escalate it.
Oh.
Like Moffat said, I think it was Moffat or Bishop, there are rules that God set, and they will always remain.
Okay.
And those rules brought sanity. I will tell you this for sure. Anybody who is opening their marriage or is ready to venture out, that's a person who was never ready for agape love, sacrificial love.
Okay.
What Moffat is talking about marriage, marriage cannot work without agape, it cannot work without sacrificial love.
Yeah.
No relationship can work without sacrificial love. And that's why you'll find relationships are crumbling. The minute you open your marriage up, you know, and I've seen those couples, some even come for counseling. I've received such a couple.
Yeah.
Trust you me, they open their marriage, but jealousy comes in.
Yeah.
It always comes in, and yet you sat and agreed we're opening our marriage. And then they come up with rules. So long as I accept that person, so long as
you never see them again.
Yeah, you know, it's once, and I have to approve. Yeah. But jealousy still comes in. Why will jealousy come in? Because you know that this is your person, and you want to feel like I have ownership on this person. So the minute you set them free, you now start feeling like, oh my gosh, I have made a mistake, you know? Okay. So I don't think it's going to make it any better. What is making our society, you know, love relationships crumble is selfishness. Complete selfishness, whereby you're like, yes, I want to have my cake and eat it at the same time. I want to keep this person for myself, but I also want to venture out. I'll tell you this, like Moffat has said, you will never have a perfect person, and no one person can come with everything you're looking for. You might see something, just that one quality that you felt was everything to you in someone else. Okay. But this person has 90% of all the other qualities. But do you know what? You will go hunting for that one quality in that person. Why? Because you have not called yourself within yourself and say, I'm going to be satisfied with what I've got. Yeah. I'm going to make what I have work. Let me ask you, when you're working for an organization, right? You're getting paid a particular amount of salary. Okay. Salary is never enough.
Yeah, nobody has ever said,
it will never be enough.
It's never enough.
But you can look and say, but I'm getting this benefit, I'm getting this, I have peace of mind. What makes you stay? You know, yet you're looking, you're like, I don't have this amount of salary. But you might be, let's say even, you know, quote unquote, World Bank is looking for you. But when you look at what they offer and the stress you're going to go through and everything, you decide, no, let me just stay here. It's true the money is not enough, but I have all the other benefits that I'm not going to have there. So it's the same thing with relationships. You will never, ever, ever have 100%. But you know what? You have to make the choice every single day. To overlook weaknesses, to overlook the differences and embrace them, and at the same time to choose to love this person, meaning to choose to be patient with them, not to keep a record of wrongs because they're going to wrong you every day, you know, to choose to invest, to understand this person, understand the dynamics of the relationship, what makes us tick as the two of us. Bishop can tell us she's been married for 30 years. Yes. That's a dance. Like they've learned how to dance together. You know, they've learned how to dance together. They've learned how to move together. They've learned, like now she can actually tell us, and she'll tell us, she knows exactly when her husband is mad. She knows exactly when to approach her husband and when not to. I always give this comparison with my dad. You know, when we were growing up, I studied my dad. I knew my dad. Me, I knew my dad would come from work. He wants to sit, have his nice cup of tea, be given his newspaper, read in silence. He was an introvert. He wants silence, you know. Give him space. And then after his 1 hour of unwinding after work, taking his nice cup of tea and reading the newspaper, he's ready for conversations. So he would come into the house. Me, I'd be there. I knew exactly how he liked his cup of tea. Nampelekea chai yake, nampatia gazeti yake. Akikaka, 1 hour later, I come and I'm like, hey, by the way, Dad, there's this school trip.
This and this
if you have money, I would really love to go for it. I even knew how to talk to him. I would really love to go for it. But if you don't have, I'll understand. And my dad would be like, sawa, we'll see what we'll do. Me, I never cost money for trips. So my siblings used to think, I'm favored. But I knew the man. You knew how to. I loved the man. I knew what makes him tick. I knew how he likes his things. Nimeenda when my mom is not around, nimeenda nimemtengenezea mosquito net yake. The others are not thinking. So he'd see and he'd be like, wow, you know. And so when I asked for something, you would naipata. It will take time, but I would get it. So it's those dynamics. understanding one another. Those are the same dynamics in marriage. What does your partner like when he walks into the house? Is he the kind of man who walks in and wants that same thing, that silence? And you, on the other hand, you're venting. The guy has, and he's just like, you have no idea what kind of work they have had. Just give me 30 minutes. Na akikwambia nipatie 30 minutes, wewe unaona amekutusi. Na mimi nimeshinda nikiongelesha nani the whole day. Don't you think I wanted to talk? You know, so it's those things. So you've already learned these dynamics with this person. Sasa umetoka huko kwenda kujaribu dynamics za how long will you take to be a professor in that other marriage? You already earned a PhD in this one because of what you've been through. Alafu unaanza kuanza nursery. It's
exhausting.
Like,
no. You know, Bishop, you know, there's so many young people who now say, one person for the rest of my life. Hey, like,
I wanted to talk about that. I think I've allowed temptation now to take over a bit. There is the ideal. All we are discussing here is the ideal. But there is the reality. The reality is totally different.
Okay.
And if it were not for Christ in us, including me, there is that point you reach, you say, hii kitu imekuwa too much. Because you always meet good people. They talk to you nicely. And you have that tendency. Human beings have that tendency. Unless they are numb, to feel like maybe if I tried it with this one, it would be exciting. You know? We are all looking for excitement.
We are.
Yeah, don't get it twisted. That I've been married for almost 30 years.
Yes.
Sometimes you get there. You look at this person and you wonder, how would it be if I was with this one?
Right.
You know, that temptation every day.
Yeah.
And sometimes you can get yourself even flirting, which is a form of cheating.
Yes.
You understand?
Yes.
And we flirt a lot. You know, when I say flirt a lot, no, I'm not talking about me. I'm representing. we flirt a lot. We flirt a lot. You know, you're talking to somebody and you realize this conversation now is not going the holy way. It is going the devilish quote and quote. So I want to say that is what is happening with this generation, because the generation that is there, they are deciding we can go for dates with several. You know, I've talked to my young people and they talk and say that. And then this date, sometimes you don't know how far it's going. But they're still saying it's not exclusive. Then after a while, we'll decide who we can be exclusive with. By that time, they have dated almost for 3 years, going with this one, going with that. And they say sometimes we cross the mark. It just happened. We made out. For them, they don't say they indulge in sex.
No.
We made out. But it's not anything. It's not anything. We're not serious. We are not agreed. It just happened. Which is wrong. But that is what is happening in society right now, as opposed to what we want to present as ideal. We thank God for the ideal. We thank God for Christ giving us self-control. But there is something that is happening. The world now is no longer what it was. You can meet somebody today, you make out, and you say, no, there was nothing serious, let's forget about it. Can we forget? You forget, and you move on to the next. So what they are doing, they are a generation that wants to live in that experimental
and excitement. It's like
level,
every day get excitement.
the excitement, the chemistry, and all those chemicals. I think there are so many, so much in them, the quantity, but we need to pray for them. So that nimemaliza. I have no conclusion.
Go ahead, Bob.
Thank you so much, Bishop and Winnie. Now, there's somebody who talked about wanting to sample. You know, nowadays I see on social media, you know, a photo of mangoes, and each and every mango has been, you know, it's like somebody beat that, and then he leaves and gets another one. Because of this lack of sufficiency and contentment. Now, if somebody keeps on jumping in and out, there is one thing that and this is answering the question that Bishop was asking, how do you measure last? One way of measuring lust is when somebody just mark times around people without an objective and without ever coming up with a fruit that can tell us that this has been the fruit. This has been the fruit of being in this relationship.
Okay.
And by the fruit, I don't mean children.
The person you picked.
I don't mean children.
Yeah.
By fruit, maybe a culmination of these two people coming together to sit together and do life together. Now, I have sat down with men who, and they ask me, actually, very genuinely, that, you know, I don't know whom to marry. I have got this one, I've got this one, I've got this one. And do you know what happens? Another evidence and another way to measure last is that you end up hitting 40, 45, 50, and you are still looking. You are still jumping.
You've never found.
Looking for the rib, my rib.
And you don't get.
You've never found.
And you don't get
More fun.
because maybe you are trying to look for someone whom you think is going to measure up with the feel-good chemicals that you have.
Okay.
Let me teach us a bit of psychology.
Okay.
When a child is born, there are three domains of a person: the id, the ego, and the superego.
Okay.
Now, the id uses the pleasure principle. Okay, pleasure, the feel-good chemical.
Yeah.
That's why a child, when you are in a barrier and they want to breastfeed, they don't care where you are.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to really meet that need because it's the pleasure is really asking, I need this, I need this, I need this.
Yeah.
Then from there we go to the ego, which uses the reality principle.
All right.
That is why as you continue to mature, because we all have the id, even as grown-ups, even as mature people, we still have the id with us. Now, as you grow older, you begin to have a need, something that comes like a need or a lust or love. But then the ego will ask you, is it time? You are still in school.
Logic. Okay.
You know, logic. It brings in logic. The reality principle. Then the superego brings in the element of the moral principle.
Wow.
Is it the right time?
Yeah.
If you walked out on your teacher and he is lecturing in class because you are hungry, you know, what do you think he's gonna say, or people are going to think about you? You are rude, you know.
Okay.
But do you know, we have got some people, grown-ups,
On id.
and they are operating on id. They have not been able to bring in the element of giving room the superego and the ego. And therefore they operate on id. Let me give an example.
Can we do that after the break?
Okay.
Ndio tusiende but leo inakupata tu wewe. I am so sorry, break inakupata wewe. But when we come back, then we'll be talking about how do we sort of like control that urge. For those people who are like, I cannot help. I can't help. How do we help these people? Alafu Bishop atupatie tips. Over almost 30 years. Okay. But also answer all your questions. I can see the feedback here is, oh my days. There's a lot, okay? But we'll also go through them after the break. Do stay with us. But if you want to call, you only have very few minutes before we say goodbye and the show today. But all that's coming back after the break. Do stay with us. Welcome back. Let me tell you, I wish we had a camera rolling during the bill because 11 and hour to anasema. Hey, welcome back. Just in case you're joining us right now, we are in the tail end of the conversation today on matters of the heart, and we're asking, is it possible? Can you love more than one person deeply at the same time? And in this case, loving them romantically, okay? Can you love more than one person deeply at the same time? Let me start with the feedback that I have here on Facebook, and then we'll go to WhatsApp, what you guys have to say. Mheshimiwa Pentagon anasema no, you only love one deeply. Others exist for double chances. Yeah? Okay. Haya. Lawrence Musinya anasema matters of affection require and indeed call for attention and focus. I believe that's why God, with all his wisdom and power, saw it fit to give Adam one woman as a company, okay? Just to have some checks and balances in place and have him focus on the big tasks that God had indeed put before him. Why? Hiya. This is Aga Onyango says, it depends on the size of your heart, not the size of your mind. Remember biblical reasoning. Remember, biblical reasoning is questionable because the Bible was edited to suit the white man. More are polygamous by nature. Oh no, men are polygamous by nature, but restricted by ideologies which later become theology. There is no controversy in love. Hey, Bishop. Higher. You just after feedback. Higher. Beginning of summer, this is Michael Oweru who says, yes, I can. I'm not that lazy when it comes to love. They can love more than one person. They're not lazy.
Hardworking.
And then another one says, I'm serving in 6 relationships and I'm the main in both.
Hey.
Sita naendo main. Mimi hata sisemi sina kitu ya kusema haki. Aya, Margaret Ranjiru anasema, those who say yes, let them know that's all about lust, but not love. One heart, one love. The rest ni minyonyo. Minyonyo di minyo. That's what they meant. And then Mbiti Nzamba who says you can love a variety, but not so deeply. And then Edwin, amerudi ile story, a man can, but a woman no. Okay. And then another one says, this is Karama Jeremy who says, there's no permanent love. People do divorce and start a new relationship. Also in a relationship, you still hear a lot, you hear of a sponsor, sponyo somewhere. And then Kim Wainaina says, yes, mother's love and wifey love. Those are different. Yeah? When we started the show, we said you love these people, but differently, okay? Let's hear what some of you have to say on WhatsApp. There's so much here on Facebook that we can just spend the whole day here. This one says, love is a choice. What is not a choice is attraction. You can be attracted to multiple. Love is cultivated. There is no way you can do it rightly with more than one. More than one is called fornication. Let's not justify sin. Hi, this one says, good morning, Winnie. I'm tuned in live from Kampala, Uganda. And this is Nzomo Peter. Thanks, Peter, for joining us. And then someone says, for agape, yes, you can love more than one person. But erotically, I don't know about you guys, but it's never worked for me. Juata, first of all, it's really hard to stop loving someone after you deeply loved them. Wow. Okay. I mean, yeah, that's true. Okay, we are Mendika pamphlet. What's that? Tuanzie juu kule ameanza. Okay, it says, good morning, your world. Can you love more than one person deeply at the same time? Platonic love, yes. Erotic love, no. I think we should differentiate the difference between between what? Agape and what? Yeah, we should differentiate. No, let's go down a little bit. Yes. So it says we can define. No, I think we should differentiate the difference between deep emotional attraction, affection, and love. I think we define being deeply emotionally attracted to a person as love, which is not. Attraction is either a shallow or a deep pull you feel towards a person at, where is that? I've lost it. Sorry, I have lost that part. Where is it?
Could be either
could be either, oh yes, could be either intellectual attraction, sensual attraction, or emotional attraction. We confuse deep, intense emotional attraction for love. You cannot be deeply romantically in love with many, but you can be deeply emotionally attracted to many. Hey, continues to say, I think we should stop using the word in love carelessly and replace it with I am deeply emotionally attracted to a person. Then self-analyze yourself to know the deep-rooted need beneath the deep emotional attraction. Deep attraction is not the evidence of love in rapport. Deep attraction is not the evidence of goodness or good intentions within a person. Attraction, meaning a person of your soul is experiencing a pull towards someone's physical, emotional, intellectual. Hey, it is possible for the traction to be deep forming in the word at namsema attraction. Okay, attraction is the evidence of surfacing crucial unmet needs and desires that that are recurrent or seasonal, specific or general, shallow or deep rooted within the ego of a person. You can be deeply attracted to many, which reveals the degree, state of your needs, but only in love with one. Yani huyu ametupeleka shule, scholar.
Yeah.
Which is good. Wow, thanks for that. All right, and then that one was deleted. What is Xavier? Xavier, amesema hi. I am Xavier from Beirut. Loving one person is enough. Xavier, tu sema nini hiyo? And then this one says, hi, I am Venner. You can't love two people genuinely, only one. But I believe in true love, okay? And then do we have another one? Yes, this is Felix. It was in the beginning, designed by God. Eros love should be between one man and one woman. There is healthy and also this is healthy and also attracts the blessings of God. Other than that, attracts God's judgment on us. All right. And then this one says, hi, one heart, one love. This is Devi from the coast. Thank you, Devi. And then this one says, I am Kevo. Yep, it's possible so long as one meets the obligations which comes in. Is it so weird that I saw the name Kevo and I knew what you were about to say? Kevos and Briars and Dedos of this world. Hi, this one says we shouldn't justify sin. Just one is enough. This is Moses Okesa from Meru. Thanks, Moses. And then, do we have another one? Okay. Hey. This one says, hey, I'm in love with two girls. One is beautiful, but we are neighbors. And the other, I feel she doesn't meet the quality of being beautiful. So what do you do, guy? Okay, John and Aseba, in modern relationships, hujuta when there's a lot of mistrust, this calls for backup. Hey, hiya. Love is individual sacrifice whereby you only give what you don't get. Real love is lost nowadays. Most people will only love someone who they get something from them. I think we talked about this, at some point. And then someone says, hey, I would say give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar and give to God what belongs to God, because you cannot serve two masters at a time. It's Wambo from Huruma. Walk into the altar with one and Zurura in the streets with the rest. You started so well and then alala. Hey, hi, also to scare from Bilha. It says, hi, I am Bilha. I can love more than one deeply so that one of them, akianza kunisumbua, I tell him, pack your things and leave. Ni Gen Zs wanaongea, sindio?
Kabisa.
Haya. Mwingine anasema mapenzi shikamoo, hiyo tuliachia wenyewe. Then mwingine ametupea books hapo tusome and whatnot. Haya, mwingine anasema good morning your world. I'm Sharon from Thika. For me, I don't think it's possible to have true love to more than one person, but if it's platonic, it's possible. And by the way, I think I need help. I always feel I love 3 guys and I don't really know who to date since they are all into me. How should I know who to go for? Hey, okay. But we have a caller on the line. Okay, we have Tamara calling from where? Tamara from Eldoret. Good morning.
Morning.
Thank you so much for calling us today. Do you have a question or do you want to contribute to the discussion?
Yeah, I wanted to say that it's not possible to love more than 2 people or more.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard simply because I myself nishaijipata kwa situation kama hiyo.
Okay.
I was dating 5 guys.
Mm-hmm. 5?
Yeah, 5.
Hey, okay.
Na ilikuwa hard for me. Like, at first, I was able, like, ilikuwa rahisi sana kuwa manage watu 5.
Okay.
So, baadaye, like, ikakuwa difficult because huyu anataka meet na yeye. huyu anataka sijui mfanye nini, go for a out for a date, something like that. So ikakuwa difficult kwangu. Alafu the funniest thing, these guys walikuwa najuana. So nilikuwa nimechange yangu yote. Like nilikuwa nashangaa, what if one day wakuja wajuane? So nikafanya like nilibidi niachane nao wote completely. And right now I'm dating one guy.
And how is it? How is it going?
Yeah, it's flowing. I'm in a flow. Lakini I can't advise somebody adate watu wengi. Like you only have one heart. You cannot share your heart with more than.
Okay.
Naelewa?
Yes. Can I ask a question out of curiosity? So this 5, why the need to date all of this 5? Like for you, forget them, because them they were into you, Sinio. But you, why the 5?
No, I was after money.
Okay, you were after. So it wasn't that you were in love with this 5 men. You needed something from them, and money was the case for you.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, all right. But now you're saying, you're only in a relationship with one and you cannot advise anyone to date more than one.
I cannot. Yes, I can't.
Okay. You're getting it, all right. Thank you so much, Tamara, for calling us today. Really, really appreciate it. Well, Bishop, kuna ule alikuwa amesema maneno ya church, but also there's that one who said, what did they say? The 3 men. All of them are into her and she doesn't know what to do. Moffat, you were saying something before. So can you finish and then Miriam, you can take that?
Yeah. Thank you once again. I was saying that many people, they are living in that space of id. Remember we defined what it is.
Yes.
The feeling, the feel-good chemical and stuff like that. Even grown-ups, because it is still with us. That's why somebody will have that feeling, hey, I need sex. Hey, I need to date that woman. I'm feeling attracted to that woman. And then you act on it because you do not have time to allow the ego and the super ego to come and question what the id is saying. And I was giving an example very briefly about a place that I went during the previous regime. My wife and I got an opportunity to go to State House for a luncheon.
Okay.
And I observed a grown-up, a mature man, who could not wait for the president to come from the stadium so that we can eat together. And he stood and he went where the security people are eating, because I think they eat before the other guests.
The rest,
And as if that was not enough, he even carried something into his pocket. And I looked at that and said, oh my goodness, I think this is not normal. You know why? Because the men, smelled chicken as the security people are eating. And the id is telling him, you need that to eat.
Chicken. Yes.
And the ego and super ego were suppressed. They could not reason at that particular point. And therefore he just rose and went to borrow some chicken from the police officers. That is the same thing that happens even in the field of love. What you are calling there's intimate relationships. People are not able to question what their id is telling them. That when you feel it is time, I need money, and I can only get money from that and that. And therefore, much of the things we are seeing around, very little has got anything to do with love as we are talking about it. Because somebody needs something from that man or from that woman. Nowadays, it is not only the women. We even have men who are dating, who are wanaitwa nini? Bentens and stuff like that. So that they can have money from these people. And I think it is very important for us to understand, some of us, the generation that is ahead of Gen Z, we are coming from a very distorted definition of masculinity, whereby we are being told that having multiple women gives you identity. It validates you. And therefore, it stops being love and it becomes a sexual conquest.
Conquest, yeah.
It is a sexual conquest because, and even when we were in primary school and the secondary school, you would hear some of the boys saying how many girls they slept with during the holiday.
Yep.
Because that is where we are coming from, that having many women defines it validates your masculinity, it defines who you are, it gives you identity, and therefore, I am sorry to say that coming to Gen Z, research has it that they are the most sexualized generation.
Most sexual as in what?
As in, they are so much into sexual stuff. Sexual situations. Okay. Sexual situations, because even the media look at TikTok, people are just dancing naked, and you know what we see, it really speaks to our minds. And therefore, we in fact, we are having a crisis. I like what this gentleman was telling me during the break. In the next 10, 15 years, we are going to have a very big crisis of children who do not have, who are being raised by single parents. We are going to also have a challenge, even economically, because I have observed even during counseling, whereby Gen Zs are getting married and they cannot even cook in the house. I remember telling one gentleman, receiving a phone call, I am with him, and he is being called by the wife in the house. They just got married. Hi, baby, utakuja na KFC. And she is in the house. And then the gentleman says, yes, nitakuja nayo. Nunua chips. And you know, we are killing what we call creative intimacy in that particular relationship, because there is some intimacy that comes by seeing your wife or your man cook.
Cooking, yes.
You know, and it creates some atmosphere in that particular home, and that graduates to now what we call the intellectual intimacy.
Which we say, I think at some point we need to have that conversation on intimacy and really going deeper into understanding intimacy at all the different levels. Yes, please stay tuned for that. We literally have 5 minutes. There was a question about this girl, 3 men into her, then her, she's like, so now I don't know who to choose. What do you say, Miriam? Very briefly.
I really don't know what to say to her. First of all, is she choosing them because she wants to be just in a casual relationship with them or in marriage? But what I would say is, let me start from the broader sense, biblical. The word of God says, he who finds a wife finds a good thing. So is she in a position of being found? Has she become that person who wants to be found in the first place? But secondly, she must have, and I remember, I have to be very careful about this because I said our types are our traumas. But she must have, at least in her mind, an ideal of who speaks to her. I remember asking you over the break, would you go for a tall guy or the one who is short, maybe shorter than you, but has a sense of humor? That's like that's tall or the one with a sense of humor. So what I was trying to get at is, you know yourself better. Would you rather have someone who makes you laugh at the end of the day, at the end of a hard day, but when you're walking with him, everyone is looking at the two of you and thinking, "Ay, apa form ni aje, like awapelekani," you know? So which works for you? Would you rather be seen outside by people, or would you rather have this beautiful relationship with this person who you're bonding with, you have intellectual intimacy with, emotional intimacy? So I would ask her, out of those three, who is this person when you're with them, you're completely authentically yourself?
Because there's always.
You're not wearing any mask, you're not pretending. Yani uko tu, you chew as badly as you chew when you're alone. Unacheka vibaya kama mbweha as you're alone. You know, you're not like, pretending. You're yourself. That's the one.
Okay.
That's the one, because if the other two are just facades, like you really have to be proper, you have to be unajaribu kukula kuku na knife and nini na imekataa, na kuna ule unachukua tu unasugua kuku yako and you're okay, then I would say the one who you're fully yourself with, because you want to be yourself in a relationship.
True. I mean, okay. Hey, tuko na dakika mbili literally tufukuze studio. Nena kwa swali moja ile na kuchoma ile uweze na nyumbani kwa ujauliza. I go, and please keep it like just short. Okay, please do.
So, hi cousins.
Hello. Hi.
I like that.
So my name is Alvin.
Speak closer to the mic. Yeah.
My name is Alvin. Currently, I'm an entrepreneur. Kwa mapenzi kipia. So, I have one question, which is really in an disturb. So, we've talked about lust. And I do have, this is my point of view. Sometimes lust can lead to love. Because when we say lust, we talk about that attraction. In most families, most couples, wamekuwa pamoja because of lust. This means there's a time where unaweza kuwa approach someone and then probably I've gone into her space and then all of a sudden, since my main intention was lust, I had lust, I get to understand her kwa hiyo time ya socialize, and then through socialization it creates a level of emotional intimacy. So long as pia tunaongelea about lust, I feel we can also look on the other good side. And the other good side is lust can also lead to love. In terms of connection.
I see.
And then unamwelewa and then mnaelewana and then from there.
Then before you know it, you're in love, locked. Umetupa key hata ujui iko wapi.
And they lived happily ever after.
I mean, it's possible. Yeah. Who wants to comment on that? And then
I think very quickly, lust is a very weighty word in this context. And I'm curious whether you are talking about lust or attraction, because you can get attracted to somebody and you have that chemical, ikiamka, and it is okay. But then I also want to say, lust is short-lived, because you are looking at lust ask this question, what am I going to get from the box? But love ask this question, what does she have in the box and what can I put in the box?
What can I put in the box?
Okay? And that is what I'm saying, that attraction, yes, you can get attracted to somebody and it is okay, it is natural, it is human. But then last many times it focus or it is anchored on very temporal things about that other person. Say, for example, you look at her, you like her body shape, and within a fraction of a second, you have even had a sexual intimacy with her in your head.
Mind,
Okay? And as soon as that is done, and I have seen people who have been driven by lust. By the way, did you know that lust can make you pay an air ticket to go to the US and to have sex? Then after you are done, you keep asking yourself, what was that?
That is
I see. You said you had an addition, very briefly, like Kivi. Kabla tufukuzwe hii studio.
So, addition ni, when we look at love, unajua wengi wajui, but at the end of the day, ndio tumependana, but ina need more. You see? Kituka inataka vile unaendelea kuzeeka unaona love is not all about love, but iko na other things about sacrifice, respect, nini. So love is demanding, so ukisema uko in love inafaa ujue manzee, it's all about sacrifice of a lot of things.
I see. I see. Hey, Bishop, si tufungie show sasa. Twende nyumbani.
Nilikuwa nimefurahi hizo.
Unasema utaombea watu wote hawa Gen Z. Tufungie show twende nyumbani.
Ningependa kusema, I would want to say this, that the truth of the matter, you cannot be able to equally love more than one. But the other one will be used or will be losing here and there. And therefore it is good to be faithful, have a commitment, and know that love is not something to be joked with, because it has taken many to the grave. Many have developed conditions in their health because of this word called love. So therefore it is good to be tender, to be caring, and to know how you are stepping when it comes to this love.
I like that. Hey, Bishop. Hey, Amina. Thank you so much for coming by today, Bishop Grace Delizu, Moffat, Miriam. Thank you so much, really, for the beautiful, beautiful insights. And I know that you've learned so much from today's conversation. Thank you for being such an amazing audience and for all your questions. Nazile points zenyu during the break. We appreciate. And so we have to say goodbye. My name is Winnie Lubembe. Stay safe. God bless. And we'll see you tomorrow right here on Your World on Wellness Wednesday. And we'll be looking at first aid and how you respond in moments of crisis. Okay? See you tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of your day, but keep the conversation going online because the discussion's there. Whoo! Hey, that's fire. Okay? Stay safe. Goodbye.